Well, hello. Can I say it 10 more times? How's it going? Happy Sunday. Yes, I'm streaming today. I haven't been the best. I haven't been the most committed in terms of, I keep saying I'm switching to Sundays to Thursdays, and then I end up taking Sundays off more often than not. But here we are. So, thank you guys for being here. We got fun, Fuongraphy. I like the name. Says, hi from Vietnam. Love your work so much. Thank you very much. I think we're actually going to be editing some footage from Vietnam today. I think only a couple, so not many. But what a coincidence. Thank you very much. It is very cool. I don't think I'll ever get over how cool it is when people from anywhere in the world can find your content and resonate with it. So it means a lot. Thank you for letting me know in the chat. And also thanks for hopping into the stream. I am streaming. I try to stream about 4 to 5 times a week. That's the goal. We got Elthing in the chat. Wild boar photo acquired. Interesting. Well, what did they say? A wild boar is basically a pig gone rogue. But interesting. Wait, let me see. Did you send me photos? You did. All right. So we're going to start by looking at some of these photos from Elle. Once I kind of, get warmed up here. So thank you guys. Thanks for being here. Elle says sent photos in the DMs. All right. So let me maybe just do a quick little introduction. I'm Yobel. I go by YobelPrize. I do mostly wildlife and travel content. I started off in photography for travel, and then I got into wildlife photography. So you can find my journey starting off in Instagram. Then from Instagram posts, I started, playing around with those fun little short form videos like the reels. And some of those kind of kicked off in a way where I realized I was also enjoying doing a little bit of video work alongside the photos. So I decided I wanted to learn more about videography. And so that turned into, let's set up a YouTube channel. Let's start making content on there. So then I went from Instagram to YouTube, mostly to document my vlogs. And I'm continuing to do so because I have about 3 years worth of travels that I have to publish. So I hope you guys will check out my YouTube channel. I have plenty of videos. I'm posting another video tonight, actually, speaking about the 35mm lens. So I hope you guys will watch it. It's only 2 minutes. And then from the YouTube side, I decided to test out live streaming. So here I am. I for about a year now, I've been testing out how to live stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So we went right off the deep end trying to see how can you do these multi-streams. So that's been really fun. During my live streams, you get to watch me struggle through how to edit my photos, how to edit my videos. So, you know, but if you guys find that enjoyable, here I am. So that's been for the past year. And the most recent update is that I started to get interested in filmmaking. And so I had this opportunity recently, a couple opportunities. At the end of last year, I made my very first short film in partnership with Nikon called The Island of Second Chances, which you can see on YouTube. And then secondly, from my YouTube channel, someone from CNN Create found me, and we ended up being able to work together. I got to go as an operator, like a camera operator on a recent project in a different country. So that's been really cool, and it's given me motivation to keep doing what I'm doing, especially what does it mean to be a filmmaker? How do I learn the actual basics of it all? Ooh, look, also, we've got 2 cats as part of my live stream. So if you tune in, sometimes if we're lucky, they will grace us with their presence. Look at Kimbap over there. Good boy. Oh, look at Kimbap. Yeah. I just fed them. He might be looking for more food if I'm being honest, but hey, as long as he's here, we'll say hi. Look at this guy. Yeah, he's like searching for food or something, as per usual. So yeah, as part of the stream, oh, we got Cat. Speaking of cats, we got Cat and Candle in the chat. Shout out to Cat and L. Thanks for hopping in over on the Twitch side as we point to the cat. So good timing. Is my other cat here? Not yet. But generally speaking, if Kimbap ends up taking over this bed, Nala will end up wanting to be close by. So I think she will hop over here soon. That is my prediction, as if I don't know my cats, you know? How's it going, Captain Candle? Good to see you on here. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. Same for you, Elle. I hope you had a good, well, we're going to look at some of the photos you took. I forget if you said you had a gig that you needed to shoot for recently, or if that's upcoming. Elle says, also got 2 swallows in a single frame. Those effers. I listen, it's so weird. I curse all the time in real life, but I'm always trying my best to, I don't know how much that damages my ability to grow on these streams. So here I am being PG-13. But anyways, you said it can fly up to 50 kilometers per hour cruising and 100 kilometers per hour diving. Damn. Okay. Kat says that light guy is cool. Oh yeah, of course. I got to recommend it to someone recently. We call it the steampunk guy. I don't even get it. I don't get anything from it. There's no affiliate link. I just, you know, I think it's a cool little lamp. So yeah, that was probably the best $200 purchase I've made. I think it was $200. Not cheap, but hey, it's still working, you know. And my cats haven't knocked it over yet, so there's some pluses. Elle says 20K steps yesterday on that trip. Well, congrats to you. I have not been going to the gym over the past week or so. I made a post on my Instagram stories the other day. You guys would not believe me if I told you how hot it was. I went with a buddy of mine. We went to some kind of like block party, flea market kind of activity, some event in Dubai. And just stepping out of my apartment, it was like the greatest radiator in all of mankind was blasting, all just in Dubai. I think I made an Instagram story where I basically said I want to invite Satan to Dubai so he can take notes. That's how crazy it was. And it was so crazy that I did, you know, Google what the temperature was. And actually, we can look it up right now together. Hold on a second. Because I'm assuming today's no different. I'm assuming it's insanely hot. Dubai temperature. All right now it's an excessive heat. Severe heat is expected in this area, and it's freaking almost 8 p.m. and it's telling me it is 37 degrees Celsius, which is 98 degrees Fahrenheit. But here's the thing, that's like bad, but that's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like I've grown up in worse. Like you're in like 100, 110, 120. I don't know what that is in Celsius. But the problem is, and when I Google imaged on my phone, it told me more information. What does it feel like? Because of the humidity or whatever else. Will it tell me here? Come on, give me the info. The current real temperature, is that it? Okay, well, you know what? I'll show you from yesterday, because I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Yesterday, it was telling me that at 9 p.m.
after you've seen my
it was
photos.
9:30 p.m. It was
Currently on a
36
rest stop
degrees
waiting
Celsius,
for
and it
you.
feels like 56 degrees Celsius. And in Fahrenheit, that means 96 degrees, and it felt like 133 degrees. You got to be shitting me, man. How crazy is that? Anyways, so I'm staying indoors in my comfortable air conditioning. Let's also catch up. Elle says, but can you track a small bird like that? You know, I sometimes have good luck with bird tracking, all things considered. I got some really good ones from Tanzania we're going to go over shortly. Kat says, I've been so lax about going to the gym. I've only gone like, what, 1 day a week. I heard there's a Tom Holland, because all the hype is from Spider-Man. And he was saying he does this like CrossFit workout where you do 5 pull. I could be mistaken. I think it was like 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 body squats. And you do that as many times as possible. So I was thinking of doing that even just when I don't go to the physical gym. Just from my home, I got a pull-up bar behind me because that's pretty simple. And, you know, you get a decent full body exercise out of it. So no excuses. Elle says, I'll go back to driving after you see my photos. Currently on a rest stop waiting for you. Ooh, okay, let's get on it then. Hold on. Let's get on it. Yo, we got Driftless, Mindful. What's going on? Mindful in the chat saying, hey, Yobel, all right, I caught a live a bit late, but better late than never. Yes, that is very true. Thanks for being here. We're just going to look at a few photos from Elle that she had posted over to me. So that's what we're going to do. You said, starting to edit some bird shots myself, comparing the NRAW H.265, and R3D some more. For wildlife, they are all good. I'm a huge fan of the NRAW. Actually, today we're going to be reviewing the NRAW footage. So, yeah, if you guys are into that, well, that's what we're doing. I'll explain the context of why we're doing some color grading today and reviewing some video files, because I'm working on another YouTube video. All right, I got the photos posted here. Let's go ahead and full screen that bad boy. Cat and Candle says, oof. Yes, it is an oof moment. That is damn hot. Elle says 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 20 squats. Oh, okay. I thought it was like a 5, 10, 15 thing. Kat says One Punch Man does 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 10K run to really be as strong as he is. Fair enough. And Mindful says, glad to see your NRAW process. Yes, that's what we're going to do on today's stream. It's, you know, it's been a while, I guess, since I've like sat down and color graded and worked on my video files, just because we've been so preoccupied with the photo edits. So yeah, today will be a breath of fresh air. What was I about to say? Fresh of breath air. Fresh of air breath. Let me just pull up my hair, because that's how you know we mean business. And let's check out these shots from Elle. So shout out to Elle. Thank you very much for sharing these. Can you remind us, Elle, what did you shoot this with? I don't know what camera and lens, stuff like that, but let's check it out. All right. We got some little birdies here. Got a fast frame. You caught some of the water droplets coming down. I like that super low angle. I like this bottom lower third getting like, you know, just the blurriness of the water kind of cutting through. All excellent. Good job, Elle. Elle says it was shot with the Canon 1DX and with the Sigma 120 to 300. You know what? This could be a fun exercise, like a fun game for me to try to guess. I guess we can all do it together, but collectively try to guess what aperture, I don't know if ISO, that might be a bit too tricky. What aperture and focal length you shot your images at. So, okay, let's take a guess. And this will be a good way to see, am I really a professional or am I just full of smoke? My guess is it probably is a shallower aperture, just because, well, it just depends how much is, you know, an illusion. But obviously that, since we can see one goose in focus, and then the ones behind and the ducks or whatever are blurry, my assumption is it must be somewhere in the range of like an F. It probably isn't lower than 2.8, but my guess is maybe like an F 3.5 or an F4. Let's just go with F4. Is there even a 3.5? I think there is, right? And then in terms of the focal length, you mentioned already it's a 120-300. So my guess is like people tend to always go to the maximum. So my assumption is this is a 300. I doubt it's a 120 unless they were really close up to you. So my assumption is, and because you got some decent compression here, this was shot at 300 at maybe F4. Oh, you said it's 2.8. Oh, damn. Oh, I second guessed myself. Okay. But it's at 300. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it looks clean. I shouldn't second guess myself. That's what I'm learning. Because I was going to say the shallow depth, like given the fact that the other subjects are blurry, I was trying to think like if you shot this at F4, is there a chance that you would actually get a bit more in focus? But, and also, well, now that I know your lens can go to 2.8, wait, hold on. So your Sigma can go, what is this lens? It's the Sigma 120-300 f2.8. Sigma 120-300. Oh, interesting. I also kind of didn't think that you had a lens that went to 2.8, but that's my lack of knowledge with these lenses. Okay, 123. Okay, now let's keep looking. Either way, really nice photo. I like this a lot. There's a lot you can do with this for sure. Now I'm thinking if I were to edit this photo, I would definitely make use of those super wide angles. So this might be a candidate for a 16:5 aspect ratio. I probably would end up centering the shot, centering the subject here. Wow, I can't speak. All right, it's the first stream of the week. All right, I'd probably end up centering the subject here just because there's a decent balance on both sides, right? You got the two ducks or whatever the hell those are on the left, but then you got a bigger subject on the right, so it does kind of balance. I mean, alternatively, I guess I could see a version where you crop out the two brown ducklings or geese or whatever they are, and you try to, you know, cut it right before them. And so then you just have a clean image of two similar looking subjects. That could be interesting as well as a framing, but yeah, I mean, it's very clean. Cool, next one. Kat says, I haven't used any lenses longer than 200, so I don't know. Listen, Kat, there's a time it will happen. The first time I got to shoot with something longer than a 200, and not talking about like putting on a 1.4x teleconverter or something like that, it was on a trip where I got to borrow a 400 for Nikon F mount, and it was beautiful. And once you try it, it's hard to go back. You know what I mean? Like once you try something beyond that 200 range, it gives you a different appreciation of the types of captures you can get clean, like without needing too much edits. You can end up with a shot that just looks stunning. Now, I'm on the next part of my journey where instead of going super long, I'm actually now scaling back, right? If you've checked out, I hope you guys have all watched my latest YouTube video, which is called Wildlife Belongs at 85 millimeters. I think I have a few different A/B tests on the titles, but basically, if you check out that video, you'll see that I'm shifting gears now to talk about how perspective and mind shifting it's been as a wildlife photographer to actually shoot with a wider lens, specifically with the 85. But that aside, when you do shoot with the 400, my God, it looks beautiful. Or the 300. Elle says main swan eye is dead center. Oh, from the previous shot? Yeah, sorry, I know it's a bit, you sent me an image where it's probably not the full res, so we're just gonna have to rely on the versions we've got. But yeah, imagine you shot with something powerful. But good job on getting the focus point. Kat says, Elle says a bit dark though. I don't mind. I've been shooting a bit darker anyways. Here's the thing I realized for myself, and I'm sure for a lot of other people, you tend to, I tend to underexpose my shot in the post. So that's why I mentioned for my recent trip to Uganda, I put a challenge for myself where I started to shoot where I was exposing for the highlights. Because it was like, can I just shoot such that the image that comes straight from the sensor is like almost ready to print? Like it's almost just good as is without needing any edits. And it was a good challenge for myself, but also it's like I tend to underexpose my images in post anyways, like digitally. So why not practice shooting low lights? But yeah, anyways, it's just like a fun little challenge. Kat says, are you even a wildlife photographer if you aren't using a Sigma Bigma? Nice. I've never heard that phrase. Damn. So I guess maybe I'm not. Kat says, maybe I'll pick one up for my corporate events. Ooh, I have captured some portraits with the 400. I showed a few of them in Lightroom recently. And when you do, if you have the opportunity, it's hard to beat that for sure. Kat's asking L, are you on mirrorless? Because you can go like 2 stops and still look clean. I think this one is 400 f5.6. Oh yeah, sorry, we forgot to play the game. I was still distracted. This one's 5.6, you say? Interesting. I would have guessed 2.8, just because it looks like I don't know my animals, man. Is that a goose? Is this like a brown? Is this like a shitty goose? So you got the brown goose over on the right, and it looks very sharp. And then from my vantage point, the version you gave me, the goose on the left looks slightly blurry. Like it looks like it's probably blurry on the face. And they look fairly close in proximity and depth. So my assumption was this might be a 2.8. But if you're saying 5.6, okay, interesting. I'm very off. And then yeah, my assumption is always just going to be you're shooting at full wide, like 300 or something. You said this at 200, so maybe it's gotten closer to you. Yo, what's happening? We got Cyronius in the chat. Shout out to Cyronius. And Cyronius, I'll catch up with you in a few days. I'm supposed to sync up with Swiss tomorrow. He had some things to take care of, so we pushed back our conversation. So then after that, then I should be able to know definitively if I need to ship some things over to you. So we'll chat later. But how's it going, man? Happy Sunday. Hope you had a fun weekend. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I forgot this is just the start of the day for you guys over on the West Coast, or wait, not West Coast, over in the Western Hemisphere. Family of 4 says L, it's a young swan. There you go. That's how little I know about these things. I'm not really a bird photographer except for the shoebill stork that I quite enjoy. But this was 205.6. Interesting. Or are you saying that was the lens that you shot with, not the actual aperture? But it still doesn't make sense to me. I'm completely off on the aperture here. How's it going? And then Kat says, you going to Anime New York City this week? Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, so I'm off about this. Fair enough. But I like the composition. Ooh, this one is a banger. This one is like, I would love to edit this photo right here. Yeah, this one's fantastic. What does it make me think of right now? I think it's making me think of Pal World, because I've been playing a lot of Pal World lately, and they've got all kinds of, like, you know, winged monsters, creatures that you can capture. This is a fantastic shot, man. Yeah, nothing more to say. I mean, okay, can I guess the stuff? So maybe this was shot at 300, but then again, I'm trying to guess from the other ones. This could be shot with like a 200, or it could be shot wider for sure. So let's say you shot this at 200. I'm trying to look at the waves to see how shallow the aperture is. And it looks like you can see a bit of sharpness all the way from before the swan. Wait, why do I keep mixing up swan and geese? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me do a little edumacation. Swan, goose. I know what a whooper swan looks like. Okay, it is a swan. Oh, man. Why did I kept calling it a goose? Have I been really this wrong with my... It's kind of embarrassing then. This is a goose? Why do I always thought these were all ducks. Canadian goose. Oh. Wow, I've been calling geese duck, and I've been calling swans geese. Okay. Well, we're learning a bit. So I guess a lot of the goose I should keep in mind is that they've got this black neck for some of them. Or at least the Canadian one. And then the swans are the elegant ones. Okay. How little do I know? Cyrenius is going to Colossal Con. Nice. Elle says, I can send you the raw. Oh yeah, for sure, if you feel like it, if you want to. I won't be editing photos today though. Elle says, I'll go back to driving, but the two swallows are 120 6.3 and 1/2000. Nice. Oh, that was a 2 swallows. Okay, so I was very wrong then if it was 6.3. This one I was gonna say it's you probably shot with a wider aperture, or a how do you say it? I always get my terms wrong. Not a wider one, but you can see like the focus was before the swan, and it looks like part of the waves are all the way beyond the swan. So I'm assuming the entire swan was in focus, so I would have guessed like an f6 or something like that. But yeah, this is a fantastic photo, man. Mute swan, Danish national animal. Okay. I did photograph some whooper swans, so I have no excuse because that wasn't too long ago. 2 swallows, not 2 swallows. I don't know what that means. Mindful says, we live in goose and duck heaven over here. Lots of wetlands to film in. I've started to get out more yesterday to get some eagles. Nice. And kingfishers with another Nikon shooter. Very nice. Elle says, is not swans? These are not swans? Yo, what is going on here? Swallows. I thought swallows were tiny. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm not that. Yeah. Okay. This is what I thought was a swallow. So now you're just, I think you're intentionally confusing me, man. Point is, really good shot. Oh, okay. Now we're at the swallows. I wasn't on that. That's why. This one is very misleading. I wouldn't be able to guess just because there's nothing to latch onto. You don't know how far away. I guess based on the size of the 2 birds, you could say they're fairly close in proximity, but it's like hard to tell in terms of depth. So I wouldn't have been able to guess the aperture on this one, but technically the whole bird seems to be in focus, so I would have assumed you were shooting at like a f5 or something. Yeah, so these are 2 swallows. Oh, and then this is the brown version. Very nice. Okay, this looks tighter, so my assumption would have been a 300, or it got super close to. And everything seems to be in focus. So yeah, same thing, probably like a 5.6 or higher. I like this shot, but I think the one before is still my favorite. This one's really good too, because of the nice punchy close-up version. But I think there's something about the previous image that really felt more like, I don't know, emotional. Emotional damage. Mindful says swallows are fast. Yeah, that is very, very true. So congrats on getting the shot. And here is the wild boar. Wow, it's like a tiny little piglet looking thing. Nice, nice. Quick break, because I think my other cat has arrived. Yep, I did tell you guys. I know Nala. Kimbap is really hard to understand as an animal, as a personality, but Nala is very predictable. She is super needy, and she can't be too far away from me for too long. You know, it is what it is. Kimbap, he can just like be like, whatever, man, leave me be. So we got Nala here. Hello everyone. Welcome my cat Nala, and then we've already greeted Kimbap here. Let me bother him real quick. Good boy. Okay. Petting aside, we are back. Thank you again, Elle. I hope, well, it sounds like you're on the road now, so thanks for giving us some content to start off today's stream. That was nice. I usually start off the stream with chess. It's been a while since I've done that, but, you know, I'll get back to that later, I think. So, let's give some context for what is today's agenda. I am streaming for the next 2 hours. At 10 p.m., I think I've scheduled my next YouTube video to release. Now, technically, if you're following me, if you're subscribed to me on YouTube, I believe you should actually have, what's the word for it? Early, advanced screening. That's too formal. But I think I said it so that if you subscribe to me on YouTube, you should be able to watch it already. So feel free, guys, if you have access to my, hopefully you're following me on YouTube. I believe I said it, so anyone who's subscribed to me should be able to see the video. It's about the 35mm lens. I forget what I titled it. But let me know what you guys think. I would love for you to leave a comment or just share your thoughts. If there's anything I say that seems insightful, let me know. I do read all the comments, and it does help with the performance of the videos, and as a small channel, you know, every little bit counts. So that one is just 2 minutes long, I think, just under, and then I'll be posting a few more things later. But for the next 2 hours, sorry, I'm just repositioning myself. The thing that I'm going to focus on is the third video related to my camera lenses. So if you guys, I've already been talking about it. I posted a video about the 85mm lens. I made some YouTube shorts and Instagram reels of that as well. Then I'm releasing the 35mm lens and sharing my thoughts around how that's been, revolutionary is too strong of a word, but how that's really helped me as I've gotten into filmmaking, and also again leveraging the wildlife perspective, what the 35 has allowed me to do and why I find it so powerful. I call it the sweet spot of storytelling. And so I show some footage from my recent short film to kind of tie it all together. So I hope you check that out. And then the third video that I wanted to make, I mean, we can make plenty, but I was trying to think, like, 3 always feels good anyways, but it's like, if I can make a third one on different lenses, the 135 felt like a nice example, because now we go from a 35, 85, and then 135, right? We get enough distinct, there's enough of a difference in terms of those focal lengths that it can shift your perspective significantly. So then for this third video, which I've been fortunate enough to travel with the 135, the Plena lens, the 135 f1.8 Plena lens, I've been able to travel with it on a number of countries as I've been reviewing my former content. So I've been able to go to India, Sri Lanka, Uganda, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe with the 135. And so as I was starting to gather my photos that I've captured with the 135 as well, I realized I actually have some of my favorite captures were done with the 135. Some of them, a lot of them you guys haven't seen yet because I've been too slow with posting content. But I was like, oh shoot, I got some good ass shots of the 135. So then that could be part of this 135mm YouTube video. But then I wanted to go through my footage to see, well, what about the video footage that I've captured with the 135? And turns out I've captured some really cool shots with the 135 for video as well as photo. So now I'm trying to think through how can I put a YouTube video together that talks about the 135 in terms of how it's helped me on both fronts, photo and video. And then also kind of talking through a bit more about the prime lens versus a zoom lens. Whereas in the past, usually I would travel with the 70-200 f2.8. But then for these trips, I actually swapped out the 70-200 to travel with the 135. And I really, really enjoyed it. I haven't purchased it myself yet. I've been borrowing it so far. But anyways, that's what we're going to work on today. We got Maylo FPV drone over in the YouTube side, says, hello everyone. Probably not a fit question here. Listen, we don't judge, so feel free to ask any question you want, and if it's appropriate, I'll respond to it. If it's not, I mean, you will be dealt with, as they say. But how's it going? Thanks for being a part of the stream today. We're just about to get started on the stream. Oh, and then also my cats are looking... Oh, look at this guy. He's doing his thing. Okay, cool. So where do we start? Let me open up Lightroom. I forgot to do that. And as usual, as we're working through this, I'll be playing some YouTube videos that I have lined up for us to enjoy and learn from. So today is definitely, though, focused on videography. So probably pausing on doing the photo edits for today. Let me just open up Lightroom again. Oh, what happened? Was there an update? Okay. Okay, so enough of talk. Let's actually go through these footage. So here's the thing, and shout out to Claude. One of the issues with these NRAW files is that within DaVinci, I wasn't able to actually find the information in the metadata that tells you what focal length, what lens did you shoot with, which is kind of frustrating because obviously, you know, I'm trying to figure out of my thousands at this point, but of my 100 terabyte plus amount of travel footage, how the heck am I supposed to quickly rinse through it all to see which video clips were shot with a 135 versus any of the other lenses? So then Claude told me there's a tool called EXIF tool that you can download, install, and use. But then I'm not a tech person, and I was struggling to figure out how to make that work. However, I then asked Claude, could you actually, leveraging this EXIF tool, could you actually go through, if I give you access to these particular folders with all my footage, can you review them and tell me which ones were shot with the 135? It actually did it perfectly, seamlessly. So then it did save me time. It took me all of today, though, to get this done. But now I have all of my footage across these 5 different countries, I think, 4 or 5 countries, where these were shot with the 135, and these are potentially ones that I want to utilize. So I'm going to start dragging them in and we'll start color grading them. Melo says, probably not a fit question, but is anyone here a sound engineer or a live broadcaster audio engineer? I see here is more about color grading today. Well, that is a fit question. So by all means, I'm glad you asked. There is someone, funny you should say that, unless I'm missing it, the context now. There is someone on the Twitch side of my community who I believe is like a hands down professional audio engineer for live stuff. Wait, actually, literally what you're saying, live broadcasting stuff. Like, I think this person works in Hollywood, things like that, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on one second. That was tasty. So Melo, here's what I will do. I'm gonna put a link in the chat that will take you to my Discord page. If you join the Discord, feel free. There's like just a general chat section. If you want to post your question there, maybe the name is Beatty. I think that's the person I'm thinking of over on Twitch that I seem to remember does like sound engineering stuff, you know? So hopefully that'll be someone that you could talk to if they're so inclined. Mela says, I need help with my live stream audio, also about mics. Ooh, when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, I shout out to, I think, Cyronius in the chat over on Twitch. I don't know if he's still here, but he had helped me out in the past set up all my audio stuff. Because there are ways with, I'm using OBS as like the main thing. I'm using an RE20 microphone, and then it's synced up to my Rodecaster video audio switcher. So that's like just generally speaking how I'm using my audio things. But I'm definitely not the best. Like, sound is the area that I'm most lacking in terms of, you know, my own development here. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, feel free to pop it into the chat, and then I can tag BD and see if that's the right fit. But yeah, unfortunately, you asked me a question of the one thing I'm just like, not the one thing, there's many things, but it's the one that I'm most unfamiliar with. Like, if you're asking me questions about video, photo stuff, at the very least, I can show you on stream and, you know, work through it. But I don't feel as confident with audio stuff. Oops. Okay, so just give me a second here. I'm just dragging in all of these clips from my various trips. So that was Uganda. This is Vietnam. Now, Vietnam, I'm trying to avoid showing too many people footage from this, but let's see. Zimbabwe took a crazy amount, so this is going to be like the highlight for sure. Jesus. Oh my god, come on, work with me, buddy. There we go. Uh-oh, my hard drives are freaking out at me because now we're doing some video grading, color grading stuff. Okay, last one. All right, Jesus. So I've got a lot of footage here that we're gonna have to start color grading. I guess we'll start in order. So this is going to be from India. Then the next one is from Sri Lanka. Then we're going to color grade a few footage clips from Uganda. Then it's Vietnam. And then finally Zimbabwe. So yeah, we got some work to do. Now, as far as I know, I'm probably just going to do simple color grades and like nothing too crazy here. All right, let me refresh myself on how to freaking color grade though. It's been a while. I believe it's under my Power Grade 3. Yes, R3D, Nlog, there it is. So, but although I think I do need to update my power grades now. All right, let's start from this. Let me think. Hold on. So we got nlog. I believe this is the one I'll apply. Let me just shrink a few things. All right, so this is using my former power grade structure, but I think we made some slight changes. So let me see if I can actually just copy this over now. So we got, what is it? Rec 2020 and Nikon nlog. So let me just copy over the R3D one, which should be my most up-to-date power grade. And then we're gonna swap this back to a Rec 2020 and Nikon nlog. There it is. Okay, and then let's go ahead and save this as a new power grade. Grab still. What do we call this? YP nlog DCTL power grade from 2026. What is today's date? August 17th. Boom. All right, so this should be what I will apply to all of my footage now. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. And then we'll obviously do the rinsing later. So let's drag all the way across and apply the grade. Cool, cool, cool. Man, how many clips am I working with here? This might be a bit insane. Man, there's going to be some really good shots in here, though. I'm super excited. I think some of you guys, if you've been watching my stream from the beginning, then you'll recognize a few of the footage. Some of them that we even edited on stream. But I'm just going to start from scratch for a lot of these. And there's going to be some really cool stuff. Like, you can't really see it here, but I've got like some shots in 120 frames per second. This one's vertical, but where you can see slow motion. Once we grade it all, so it's like much more moody. But we'll have some cool shots of like these horses galloping in the dust. There's a few for sure when they're galloping. I think I did some tracking shots with one of the, at least once or twice. Let's see. Ah, something like this. Yeah, we're gonna have some cool moments here once we slow it down, because these are all shot at 120 frames per second. But we should have some cool moments where we get some slow motion cinematic, blah, blah, blah. And of course, once we fully color grade it, so. Okay, so then let me just bring it all the way to the front again. Jeez. Let's start from India. And then I'm probably just gonna do some chill edits here, nothing crazy. But as I do that, like I said, I got a few YouTube videos lined up. Let's see what's up, everybody. On. Oh, we got a Peter McKinnon video, raw dogging photos in New York City. What is this one? From Frame Set, impossible shots that look expensive. Okay, okay. Why the Bear gets in your head. I've already talked about how much I enjoy The Bear as a TV show. I think it's one of the greatest of all time.
This video is...
And then we've got one from In-Depth Cine, the pros and cons of shooting handheld. Well, this is my world, so I would love to learn. Because I mentioned I want to start learning how to... I only do handheld, so I want to learn how to do the opposite. How do I shoot with a tripod more often? So anyways. Cool, let's start with Peter McKinnon, and let's start to color grade.
Buddy, Peter McKinnon here, welcome back.
Pausing music. Now, one thing I have to figure out is do I record my edits for this? Is there any reason I shouldn't? I guess I should. Hold on a second. Okay, so before I get too deep into this, let me just set up something. Here, let's put it on my cats. If you guys remember, I've started to screen record in a vertical format every time I'm doing my photo editing sessions, because I'm turning that into a YouTube short, Instagram reel concept. It's like my Dear Nat Geo concept. So every day I'm showing, like, you know, day 1, day 2, day 1000 of me trying to get Nat Geo's attention. And it'll show me shooting or capturing something in the moment, and then showing the editing time lapse, and then showing the before and after. I was only thinking of doing this for photo, but I guess I could technically do this for video too. Maybe I won't, but just in case, just so I have it, I should record this so I don't lose track of it. 1 second. All right, and give me a second. Let my cats soothe you. Hold on, let's put on the other cat. As I scramble around here to get this going. I just gotta double check. Yep, okay. Okay. Boom, we're ready. Pausing music. And let's watch some Peter McKinnon as I start to color grade.
To yet another video. What's up, everybody? Peter McKinnon here. Welcome back to yet another video. Today, I'm going over my photos. My files just finished downloading from the lab, so I thought we would go through them at the same time together so that you could see them. What a full day shooting in New York looks like.
452, painful.
What are you shooting today? Shooting an M6?
Check. Number one, number two.
All right, first time loading the X-Pan. Godspeed. See you on the other side.
Okay, the mission today, New York City, there and back, same day, arrive at 8, leaving to come back home at 7 p.m. How many rolls can I finish? How much can I shoot? I'm going 8 in 8 hours. Easy.
I am sad to report that I only got, I think I finished 3 rolls, but let's see if the yield, how many pictures I got that are postable or good, in my opinion, and maybe there's more quality than quantity, which would be great. Starting with these first burned shots, the beginning of every film roll has a unique feature when you're shooting 35mm. This burn is where the film emulsion starts on the negative. So instead of winding the camera until you get to 0 and then starting to shoot, I shoot the first photo like 3 or 4 times to make sure I got the burned roll. All that to say, here is Christian sitting in the sun. Straight off, I don't love that the pillar directly lines up with his head. I feel like that makes it hard to
Wait, what was the title of this video? What am I watching again? Raw dogging photos in New York City. Okay. Yo, what is this setup? What's going on here? Is he using a projector or what? I wasn't fully paying attention. Is this like some kind of VR thing he's doing there?
That the
or is this a
pillar
VFX?
directly lines up with
That's
his
cool.
head. I feel like that makes it hard to see his silhouette. If I had just positioned him in the middle of this glass pane, that would have immediately been a better photo. So in order to fix this, I'm going to have to lift the shadows so that you can see it's a person. It's not great. When you lift shadows with film, it's gonna suffer. It's gonna get more grainy. It's cool. It's a cool memory. I don't think I'd post it. Moving on. The thing with street photography, which is what this trip was and what I was going for, I'm presetting my film cam.
I'm not gonna lie. This is showing my ignorance again, how little I know about this. For some reason, I thought when people shoot with film camera, you don't like edit digitally. Why did I think that? I just assumed it's like if you shoot on a film, you have to do all the processing and you go into a red room and like the amount of time you do whatever procedures inside the red room, like how long you keep it in whatever liquid form. I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought that's how you do the quote unquote like post editing. I didn't know you edit film photos digitally. Like, what does that mean? Do you scan the photo afterwards and then work off of that? I have no idea what's going on. Maybe I missed something. I thought he was saying he shot with a film camera. Rewind.
See you on the other side.
Okay, the mission today, New York City, there and back, same day, arrive at 8, leaving to come back home at 7 p.m. How many rolls can I finish? How much can I shoot? I'm going 8 in 8 hours. Easy.
I am sad to report that I only got, I think I finished 3 rolls, but let's see if the yield, how many pictures I got that are postable or good, in my opinion, and maybe there's more quality than quantity, which would be great. Starting with these first burned shots, the beginning of every film roll has a unique feature when you're shooting 35mm. This burn is where the film emulsion starts on the negative. So instead of winding the camera until you get to 0 and then starting to shoot, I shoot the first photo like 3 or 4 times to make sure I got the burned roll. All that to say, here is Christian sitting in the sun. Straight off, I don't love that the pillar directly lines up with his head. I feel like that makes it hard to see his silhouette. If I had just positioned him in the middle of this glass pane, that would have immediately been a better photo. So in order to fix this, I'm going to have to lift the shadows so that you can see it's a person. It's not great. When you lift shadows with film, it's gonna suffer. It's gonna get more grainy. It's cool. It's a cool memory. I don't think I'd post it. Moving on. The thing with street photography, which is what this trip was and what I was going for, I'm presetting my film camera and using a technique called zone focus so that it effectively turns my camera into a point and shoot. So I know where my minimum focus distance is and my maximum focus. And I'm trying to place my subjects within that range. Starting with this, I think it's pretty cool. Not super sharp. That's also kind of film. I like that she's like the only thing lit up. Very contrasty. More contrasty than I probably would have expected. I don't think I would do a whole lot to this. Star that one off. I like it. This is also cool. I think the shadows look great in here. Like I don't even need to do anything to this. I think that's cool. I think the light is probably why I thought that was neat. I remember just leaning over and shooting it super fast. Again, within my zone of focus. So look at this little guy. One thing I've learned when shooting on a 28mm focal length or shooting on a focal range at all that is wide is even if you've got your zone focus set or you're critically focusing, which means you're spending the time to
I kind of like this video for other reasons too, because it's like, in a sense, he's kind of doing what I do on a live stream, right? But just in a higher quality and everything. So he's just kind of in real time talking through some of the photos that he's got, and you get to see his screen and what he plays with to how to figure out how to edit it. Yeah, so then it's just recorded in a way for like a YouTube video. So that does give me some pause in terms of like, okay, are there lessons there for me to keep in mind as well? Where even if I'm live streaming, should I be recording my screens in 4K so that I can then turn it into a potential YouTube video? Yeah, there's something there I need to think through.
actually line up your rangefinder patch and focus perfectly. With the 28, you're almost always further away than you expect. I felt like I was pretty close to this dog, but I obviously wasn't at all close to this dog. And for me, this frame, no good. He's too far. I don't know what I was doing. I was probably trying to shoot these guys eating in the truck. Don't love it. Moving on. Working with reflections. Reflections messy. Can't see it clear in the water. Don't love the reflections on the road. Moving on. This is better. Reflection in the water is cool. You can actually see the building across the street that it's reflecting, and you can't see that building in the frame anywhere else. So I think that's kind of neat. I'd probably brighten it just slightly. Maybe a bit of saturation because that sky looks nice. I love like the warmth of the building. That's it. I like that one. The yellow newspaper stand. That's cool. There's not much happening in this. I think shots look better when there's people doing things, when there's activity. If someone was leaning against it, smoking a cigarette, if someone was on the phone, 2 people were waiting, or someone was talking and a dog was peeing on the mailbox, or like something that tells.
Yo, we got Peter in the chat. Peter says, hello, everyone. Hello back at you. How are you doing? Happy Sunday. Thanks for being here. I'm just doing a bit of a different stream today in the sense that I'm working on some video files. So if you've been used to me doing photo edits, I have switched gears at least for today, maybe tomorrow, just because I'm working on a third YouTube video, which is going to be about the 135mm lens. And specifically, all of these shots are captures with the 135 across 5 different countries that I've traveled in the past couple of years. So I've already done the work of collecting all of the potential footage, but we've got like, I think, over 100 files. So I'm just now doing the color grading for each one, just for fun, you know, like I'm sure there's a faster way to get through all of this, but there's no problem with just kind of working one by one, in my opinion. So, and also I'm just trying to, you know, warm myself back up into how do I color grade in a nice way. So nothing's changed in the sense that I'm using Dehancer quite a bit. And I follow the typical rules, right? Where you first do the conversion in terms of the color space. So you put in the right color space, then you do a bit of color correction. Make sure you course correct if the white balance is off or if the lighting is too much in one direction. Then I do the color grading side of things, where you can have the creative flexibility to, you know, choose your style. And generally speaking, I like to increase the density of some of the colors. Sometimes I increase some of the saturation as well. And then I put it through Dehancer to see what kind of a filmic look to kind of pursue. And then sometimes maybe we're playing around with some of the other features within Dehancer, but generally that's kind of like the focus. Peter says Samyang, I don't know how to pronounce that though. Samyang 135mm is the best astrophotography lens. Interesting. 135. I never would have guessed. What is the aperture on that? I'm assuming it must be like a 1.2 or I don't know. Do they make a 1.2? I'm assuming they do. All I know is I know with Astro you're supposed to shoot with like a wider aperture, right? We got Paul in the chat, says, hey buddy, hope you're doing great. I am. Now that you guys are here hanging out with me, hells yeah, how can I not? And my cats say hello as well. So we've got Kimbap hanging out with us again. I've bothered him one too many times, so I'll leave him be this time. And then we got Nala hanging out over there. So, you know, we got a full house today. Thank you guys. 1.8. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, if there was a 1.8, I'm assuming Nikon would have put one out there already. So my assumption is to get a 135 at 1.2 is just either way too pricey, or it probably is way too pricey, and it might be too difficult to put into a small lens body. But yeah, so I shot with the Plena f1.8 135mm lens. It is a thing of beauty for sure. And so, like I said, I was going through some of my photos and I was realizing, like, I think I have a number of really good photos, and I have a number of these really nice cinematic footage that I captured across 5 countries that I think putting those two together, there should be a nice YouTube video just focused on the 135. So I got to work on the script. I'm working on the color gradings now, but there you go. That's a quick little catch up on what today's streaming is going to be about. Peter says it's perfectly flat across APS-C, no visible coma. Wait, I've never heard that term coma. Is that similar to like when you see the vignetting or like some distortion on the edges? But okay, Samyang. I've been staring at this dog for way too much. I think this is good enough. It's like very saturated, but I don't think I mind. Perhaps I should drop a bit of the saturation here.
It's more of a story. I feel like we've got half of a story here. Why are we looking at this? I don't know. Chinatown. So you can see here with zone focus, I missed whatever I had my camera preset to. And sometimes if you're not checking your camera and you bump it and you're out of your zone, it's very easy to just keep shooting. And then you look down and realize, oh, it's not where it should be. How many pictures did I just shoot that I thought were in focus? So it's a big learning curve. It's really.
Now, one thing I still struggle with is like how much film grain should I apply to the footage? I think for this YouTube project, I will apply, should I? Oh wait, I don't know. Because when you apply the film grain, obviously it gives you a very film look. And the question is, does that fit into the how I'm gonna portray this? I don't know yet. So I'm gonna leave it off for now. And at the end, I'll figure out, do I just apply film grain across each one? So for now, it's going to be all clean images, and then we'll play from there.
Really fun, and it's really rewarding if you get it, but it's extremely disappointing if you don't. But I feel like that's the only way to learn, is to be let down. And this is me out here just trying to practice and work the muscle that is street photography, instincts, zone focus, knowing a camera so well. You do not have to look at it. It is just, it happens. You're only hunting for moments. And when you see them, you can react fast and capture life. So I think that's a fascinating part of photography. If you haven't tried it, I absolutely recommend it. It is so much fun. That was obviously a cool little Chinatown sign right there. Maybe I would add a vignette to this. Maybe something like that. Obviously, I love the yellow, so.
I am kind of fascinated by Peter's video here. It looks so good. So this is what, when you have a good editor, I think Peter does a lot of his own stuff, right? But the fact that they did this like 3-dimensional projection of his, you know, photo editing monitor screen and, you know, because then it also shows how big of a studio he's in. I just like this concept a lot, you know, so, you know, congrats. I wonder if there's a way I could do that for myself. Like, imagine maybe it's like I'm editing, so it'd be like same thing, camera angle like this, but then I would have to be editing like that, and then behind me there'd be a big, you know, angled screen that goes across. I don't know. It's kind of cool though. Maybe it's a bit gimmicky though. I don't know. Paul says, I've got a question. As a wildlife photographer, what post-production practices do you consider unethical / cheating? Ooh, that's a good question. For post-production, so when it comes to wildlife, yeah, actually, let me just open up. We'll pause for a second. So just pausing on the photo edits just to kind of address that question a bit further. So I think when it comes to what is unethical in the post-production, it would be like the obvious answer is like things where you Photoshop. Yeah, if you Photoshop anything that alters the animal or the environment, stuff like that. I think it's okay to do Photoshop related or AI related things to remove things like a dust spot on your lens. Like imagine if I, you know, took this photo here, and imagine this wasn't a raindrop because this was a raindrop right on the forehead. Imagine this was a dust spot. I don't think there's anything wrong with like using whatever tools to try to remove that out, because that's like more an issue with the sensor than anything else. I don't know. There's a line somewhere there where maybe it's acceptable, where it's not. Like a dust spot, or even this spot right here on the forehead. To me, I view this as part of the elements, and it's kind of like if this raindrop was somewhere else, maybe I feel differently. I'm not sure, but because it's on the subject, to get it removed, then it can start feeling a little bit in the unethical territory of like you are like altering some part of the subject, perhaps, right? I don't know. Or it's like completely made up pixels that's being replaced on the animal itself. If it's on like a part of the picture that's irrelevant, again, it's degrees to this, right? Where I'd be like, okay, fine, fair enough. And for whatever reason, I feel like if it's a dust on your sensor that you're removing, that feels a bit more acceptable to me to get rid of. But like a raindrop, I don't know why, but that starts to feel a little bit more like maybe, just depends where it's placed. That's what I'm saying. So if the lens drop, like let's say this water droplet right here happens to be right over the eye of the baboon. So in order to get rid of that raindrop, you are literally having to use some kind of AI generative thing to put in a different eyeball, you know? Those are like, for me, where it's like, okay, I start to feel like you are now altering the actual image a bit too far. So yeah, it could be placement of certain things that you're trying to remove, even if it's like a blemish, unfortunately, caused by your camera, sensor, or lens, whatever. And then it's like things like, I wonder, oh yeah, so let's say this photo here. For me personally, I don't, like, so this is why for this particular image, the final image, I ended up just cropping in and doing a close-up shot of the baboon here, right? Same image, just after all the editing I did. But I didn't keep this full screen. And partially you could be like, even if imagine the sky behind wasn't overexposed, if this looked really nice and textured in the background, I would never, in my world, how I view it, I don't think I would ever use AI to remove this antenna. It depends though what the usage of the photo is for. Let's say if I'm just putting this on my website and I just need something to represent a certain like animal and I need that cleaned up thing or whatever, then I don't care. If you're trying to post this to a competition, if you're presenting it in a way that is off from what actually happened, it's like things where I guess we don't always voice it out loud in terms of what is unethical or not. But generally speaking, it's just like, how much are you lying, you know? If you're telling people you got this shot out in the wilderness, you know, and then you hid the antenna so it looked like you were out on the ground somewhere, you know, in the forest, as opposed to like this was on the hood of a vehicle. Like things like that. It's just about how are you presenting it. So I'm sure there's better examples to give. I'm just trying to go through my own images to see if there's like, okay, imagine here's where it'd be unethical. Yeah, so generally speaking, like for any image, let's see. Especially with wildlife, it's a different, if you're doing like architecture, things like that, I don't think it matters as much. Like if you need to remove people from a shot, you did like a long exposure in, you know, in some cityscape or even a landscape shot, and you do a long exposure and you need ways to kind of, or you do a composite image so you can remove some people, like some tourists that were in the, you know, in the shot, in the frame somewhere. Like those things I don't feel as bad, or I don't feel as like, I don't think it's as unethical to kind of remove that. But for wildlife, there's something about it that does feel more like you shouldn't really touch the capture you got. But when it comes to color grading, lighting, stuff like that, that's all fair game to me. You know, so like you can see like the drastic difference in some of my edits where it's, I might super underexpose it. You know, the obvious example is like when people do black and white. You know, you add certain colors, you raise certain colors, I shape the light a bit more, so then I might accentuate light coming from a certain direction, all things like that. I just find, to me, that's like totally within the realm of like, you know, you go for it. But I also am not really putting these out there for National Geographic. If this was something where it's like, hey, I work for National Geographic and you capture something for that to be put on a magazine, things like that, then I almost think, I imagine it's quite different, like the types of edits that's allowed. You might have, I don't know what they consider is appropriate. You might have to like not do anything that touches colors or, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm trying to find another example here. Yeah, see, like over in this example, you know, I ultimately ended up, let's see. So you can see this is the original shot. And then, yeah, original before and after, right? And so by the final part of my edit, you can clearly see I'm adding a bit of like this soft light, this kind of fade effect across the top of the image. There is a fade throughout the image as well, so there's nothing pure black really. It's kind of like got the faded look to it. And to me, it's like these are all just part of what you can do as a photographer to make your image better or like make it your own style. And I don't find that as something unethical or you're like now quote unquote cheating or changing the image in a way that's altered, let's say. So yeah, like for me, when it comes to shaping the light, editing the colors, you know, doing crops or compositions the way you want to, those are all fair game. It just becomes more like when you start using the replacement tools or the clone stamps, or you're removing or adding things to your image, like digitally adding or removing, that's where it can start getting fuzzy. And then color, it also depends. If you have a close-up shot of an animal's eyes, and you decide to now like, you know, change the color of the eyes entirely, unless you're doing this for a creative shot, if you're trying to present it for a competition, yeah, same thing. That's where it's unethical, in my opinion. But who knows? You know, who knows? But thank you for the question. I hope it was somewhat informative. I don't think there's anything controversial with whatever I'm saying, but yeah. All right, let's keep watching this. Let me record.
Maybe I'll come in here and make that a little brighter. It's okay. Like, I don't love it when I post this. No. This guy crossing the street, he's in the zone. He's in the zone. But he's focused, so that I like already. I like the mess. I like the mess of everything. It just looks very busy. The amount of fire escapes look great. Big fan. I think let's just keep going through these until I start editing them, because like, if I'm just sitting here editing 100 photos, this video is going to be like 2 hours long. This is cool. I think that car stands out quite a bit. But again, someone just leaning against it on the phone would have made it so much better. Someone getting out, someone getting in, people walking by, anything at all. I think just a car sitting there, it's not.
So since it's been a while since I've been doing some color grading stuff, I guess I will talk through a bit more about some of the key steps. And I mentioned before, so I started by just doing adjusting the color corrections in the primary elements of it. So I dropped down the exposure, because it was very, very bright in the original, the way it looked. And then I increased a bit of saturation. I I forgot to do the density, but let's go ahead and do that now just to see. Yeah. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, let's do it. I'm going a bit moodier on this one. And then I turn on my dehancer node. And for dehancer, as a default, I tend to put on the Kodak Aero Color 4125 as the profile, stock profile. And one of the key things I always mention is there's a section called film compression within dehancer. And I tend to put the tonal range slider all the way to 100. You can see what the difference is between the default look and then when I slide it all the way, it how would you describe it? I guess it increases the tonal range, whatever that means. But you do get a lot more retention of the colors and the lighting throughout. It makes it much deeper of an image. And then from there, if it gets too flat or too much, then I'll bring back the white point. So this is a drastic example, but not where it looks overexposed, but it looks like a clean white. And then you can play with the color density if it feels right or not. I don't know. I guess I will a little bit there. But that tends to be a fun thing that I almost always apply with dehancer, at least for the video edits. Then we turn on the print profile, and this is where everything turns spicy right away. So now we've got, generally speaking, you choose from Kodak 2383, the Fujifilm 3513, which tends to give like a cooler, faded look to it. And then you got the Kodak Endura glossy paper. And the Kodak Endura I tend to prefer when it comes to wildlife, just because it seems to retain the natural coloring throughout. Whereas the other two print profiles tend to give a bit more of an artistic feel to it. For this dog, I think a dog kind of fits into both worlds. It doesn't really matter as much. It's not like a wildlife capture. And we're in a cityscape, so you got some interesting like textures in the background where, yeah, I think it being a bit artistic with the colors is totally fine. So then it's just a matter of like, let me go through them all and see what kind of looks best. I feel like this one looks good with some cooler tones to it. Let's see. And I did also mention recently I've been moving away from the warm tones and going more towards like cool tones. So that could just represent a stylistic shift in what I find interesting. So we'll see. And then sometimes if the image starts to get too underexposed, you can look at the waveform here. It's like we're hitting some pure black pixels. Then you can turn on this analog range limiter, which tends to lift up the black so there's nothing pure black. I think sometimes it does break where it will still go over depending on other edits you do. But generally that's a nice little tool that lets you be sure that you're not fully underexposing your image. And then it's a question of turning on film grain, which I might do at the very end. The halation effect, it looks pretty nice on a lot of the video files I've found. And then same with the bloom effect. I've been enjoying turning on both of those. So, yeah. And then I take a look, see if there's anything to change. Now give me a second, guys, because I think I have some dog hair that's like, not dog hair, cat hair everywhere. So my nose keeps being itchy. So let me just take care of myself here because it's literally just like nonstop itchy right now. Let's, I'll just be right back actually. Maybe like 20 seconds. All right, we're back. Let's keep going. Okay, let's turn on Mr. McKinnon as we keep doing this.
An interesting enough of a car to make me like this photo. I remember having difficulty in Chinatown here because I was asking people to take their portraits and everyone kept saying no, which is fine. That's their right. I'm not a huge fan of just taking the photo anyway and then asking forgiveness. I don't know that I'd love if someone did that to me, so I try to ask.
Oh, nice. Because we were having this conversation in the other stream, which kind of goes in line with the question from Paul about like ethics when it comes to photography. And so we're talking about like, how do you feel if about like where do you draw the line where you're taking a photo of some stranger without their permission or without them knowing? And for me, I do it all the time when it comes to my travels, when I'm shooting someone from a distance, like a local, you know, when I'm in the vehicle and I'm taking some photos out the window, let's say. But generally, if it's in person and I'm fairly close to them, like proximity wise, I do want to get their attention first and kind of, you know, sometimes it's very subtle. You just, you kind of point and you do a little nod or a head shift and then they'll say yeah or not. So you try to give advance warning to see if they're okay with even just your camera and your lens being pointed in their general direction. If they don't seem to mind at all that your camera's pointing that way, then I feel okay. That's a bit of a tacit approval or a tacit acceptance of taking the shot. We were watching that one video from whomever from New York City, and he just sticks a camera right. You know, it's like really obvious that he's taking a photo of someone like, you know, just a few feet or yards away or meters away. There it starts to kind of get into the world of like, I don't know. I feel like I would want to ask first, but it just depends. So it looks like Peter's of the opinion that normally he wants to ask beforehand, which is good. I mean, you know, if you have a stance like that, it's probably the right stance in general. I'm towing the line.
No, which is Chinatown. Interesting enough of a car to make me like this photo. I remember having difficulty in Chinatown here because I was asking people to take their portraits and everyone kept saying no, which is fine. That's their right. I'm not a huge fan of just taking the photo anyway and then asking forgiveness. I don't know that I'd love if someone did that to me, so I try to ask. I remember being pretty excited when this guy pulled up. It looked like a MotoGP rider, and when he took his helmet off, he was like an old guy, and I thought, that's sick. I went up to take a photo of him, and he's like, let me bring my friend in. I was like, I don't want a photo of your friend. I want a photo of you. So I was trying to adjust my focus. I just snapped it so they could hear the click, and then his friend pieced out, and then I took a picture of him with actual focus, which seemed to come out pretty sharp. Like that's pretty great for 35 mil. That's amazing. My legs are going numb. I think so far this is probably my favorite shot. He's happy, I'm happy. And his bike out there looked great too. So I could probably just paste that edit right over. As he was, what did he say? He was like stopping for a quick espresso and then off to the track. I was like, as you should be. My feet are numb, so I am.
I wonder how many people recognize Peter McKinnon. If he's in New York City, there's like so many freaking photographers, YouTubers there. He must have been recognized constantly. He's got such a look too, right?
Adjusting. Okay, this one, someone went by and did like an endo on a bicycle, and there was another photographer sitting there, and he was like, can you do that again? The guy was like, sure. And I just loaded a roll, and I knew that I was like really close to the burned frame. So I just thought, oh man, if I can get a burnt frame.
Oh, I missed, Mindful says, for me, cleaning up dirt or water on the lens is completely ethical. Yeah, for sure. I think those are just, yeah, I think that's within the realm. But like I said, it also just depends where it's placed. If it unfortunately is placed right over the subject, a key portion of the subject, not like in some part of the fur that doesn't matter, like the eyes, right? Then it's like, ooh, you know, then it becomes like you're altering something completely different is being replaced there that wasn't captured.
Of somebody doing an endo in front of this building with the burn, that'll be sick, and that's exactly what I got. That's like a sniper shot, so very stoked on that. I think that looks great. I took so many of these just to make sure I would have one that I liked, and oftentimes if I'm in a spot that I know I've wanted to be at for a while, I'll shoot it as many times as I have to until I'm happy. Like I won't leave until I get something that I know is good. I think this could be cool. It needs to be a bit more grungy, but that detail in that building is wild. Shout out to my buddy Brandon, Current Spaces, that sent me over there. Central Park, dull, not feeling it. I didn't love this. So I think we hopped in a car and went straight over to Dumbo, and this dude was washing a Porsche under the bridge, and I just thought, this is sick. This is someone doing something unique that I haven't seen before. And like, look at the sky back here for a second. So you've got detail in the clouds, which are still perfectly fluffy and visible. You've got detail in the shadows. Like, it is perfectly balanced. That's one of the reasons I love this so much. Like, that is just, I don't feel like a digital sensor can do that as well. Now, when I edit this, it's gonna be about protecting those highlights and protecting these shadows to make sure it's all still balanced.
Again, I need to look this up then, because again, it shows how little I know. I had this warped opinion in my mind that if you do film cameras, you don't digitally edit, but clearly I'm wrong. So I'm curious, how does that work then? So you take some photos. Well, I guess that, no, wait, hold on. So you take photos with the film roll, and then you have to do whatever the Red Room process to create your image, but then you're able to create a raw version that you put into a camera, like a software to edit later. I don't know why, but it's like beyond my understanding right now.
Nicely, but I just think like that is so cool. Is it the greatest photo I've ever seen? No, but I do like that it's just life. It's a guy out here doing his job, washing a Porsche under the bridge. That's cool. This couple here were hugging. I don't know if they were just like coming out of a restaurant, then they started making out in the street, which nice. I thought was like, okay, that's a good photo. Like we got people, they're doing something. The sky behind was like pretty wild. It's a little underexposed, but I was zoned for the sun, so they are exposed properly. And then I got a little bit closer and there's this one. I don't love the coolness of this. I'd probably want to add some vignettes so that it really draws your eyes to the middle, but I feel like that's a good moment. The fact that they're surrounded by people who are all just like, no one cares. Like this guy's just walking around like, excuse me. He also looks like he's in pain, like someone stepped on his foot. In a perfect world, I'd be like, can we do that again? Can you change your face? Okay, this guy, that's sick. That's cool. This dude ripped past on a wheelie, and I was preset with my zone, and I was metering as we were walking down the sidewalk because the light kept changing, so I was going from 250 to a 500 to a 1000 and back and forth between those three speeds. This dude ripped by, I managed to get it. So like this to me is probably one of the best photos I've seen yet. Lower thirds, it's sharp. You can tell he's going fast. I feel like this will edit really nice. It's a little underexposed, but I will mess with this one. Absolutely, star 5. This was his buddy trailing behind. He was not doing wheelies, but I did manage to track him a little bit. Look at the difference just with a little bit of tracking, like, I'm talking like a foot of track or less, and you've got quite a bit of motion blur already. So had I done that with this frame, this shot would have been way better. So it's almost like I needed the mixture of these two. I need to drag this like twice as much, but do it on this shot and it would have been great. I like the gradient of this. I feel like I would crop this one probably quite heavily. That's I think what my mind was seeing when I took this photo. Something like that. Mess with the curves. Probably look good in black and white too. Okay, now at the same time, I had a roll going in my X-Pan. And this was my first time ever using it. So take a look at these, like this is dope. And the shadows obviously on the ground of this shot are amazing. That looks great. I'm very, very happy with that. I could probably warm it up and even just like blow out the highlights a little more. That shot, super sick. This is cool. I mean, everything with one of these types of cameras, any type of panoramic camera looks super cool. And there was good light coming in here too from the left side. So you can make that a little bit brighter, drop that contrast, adjust this tone curve. Like that's cool. Black and white, everything looks good in black.
I think this shot looks really cool. I don't, the one issue I guess you run into when you're editing anything that has like set colors, like obviously if you have this flag of, if you have an Indian flag that have certain colors, it's like if you had a US flag and you know it's red, white, and blue, but then the way you color grade, you turn the blue into teal and the red looks more orangey. I guess you do run the risk of like, okay, well now it's not recognizable or noticeable for what it's supposed to represent. So I do run that risk right now with how I'm color grading. I actually have no idea what the proper color should be. I just know that this looks nice to me. So unfortunately, yeah, and then I guess you could run into a risk where, like imagine if there's no logo, if the flag was just 3 colors, and then by you grading it a certain way, it turns into another country. Hopefully we haven't run into that problem though. But I do like how this looks right now. So I know, I don't know, there's a chance I will use this in my upcoming YouTube video because it's got, you know, in slow motion, it'll look super nice once I stabilize the footage as well. So.
Black and white. This is great. I love the shadow of the Pegasus horse on the ground. I will fully admit I did not see that when I took the picture. I was looking at all the cables running across the street and just like how small the street felt. But the Pegasus horse shadow on the ground is like, that's a happy accident. I had no idea, but I will take full credit. Happy with that. This one I remember, this guy was getting his hair cut. I wanted to get closer, but I was too scared. I don't like this one. I don't think I would use this. You can't see the people in it unless
Mindful
I'm kind of probably telling you.
I think the flag thing is similar to eyes. I mean, I consider it too far if you edit it different than you saw it, like removing fog that wasn't there, etc. Interesting. No, for me, I was just saying like with flags, it's more just like I said, if you have because I'm just using US as an example. If you have a US flag and if you end up color grading and your filters or whatever turn it into like instead of red, white, and blue, it's like completely different. I can see where it's now like, it's not about do I think it's ethical or not. It's more just like, well, now you could just be changing entirely. you could actually, it's like you could be looking at a different country almost. So I just want to be careful with that, I guess. But I don't mind altering things, especially. So really all the ethical things I was talking about, I really point that towards wildlife capture specifically, because there's like, to me, a world of where when you're photographing the wild, that you should be retaining in its natural form to some extent. The moment you apply too many creative filters and, do whatever with it, then it's like you're escaping the world of nature, I guess, or it's less natural looking, and now it is very much an artistic expression. So like instead of imagine instead of making an orange tiger, you like completely change the color so that it's like a pink tiger. Then it's like you're just making art, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not necessarily something I would be posting to people of like, hey, here is this capture I took in India of this tiger without any context. It's like, what, you got a pink tiger? It just wouldn't make sense when it comes to things not wildlife. So you're mentioning, I think, removing fog, stuff like that. I think it just depends what I'm filming, I guess. But yeah, removing, as if I even know how to remove fog though. If dirt on your lens blocks an eye and you mask out the other eye to replace the eye that got blocked and it looked like it, then it is okay, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Thankfully, I haven't been in that position yet where I'll make that decision. I don't think I would though. Actually, oh no, I have been in that position. There are some photos I took where literally there's a water drop right over the eye of the subject, of one of the eyes. If it was just for a normal post, like I said, it depends also the function. If I'm posting this because I'm trying to portray myself having captured this moment without any alterations, if I'm working for a publication like National Geographic, things like that, that's where I would be like, I'm not even gonna toe the line at all. Mindful says like, these people removing all the other people on a beach, that is clearly ethical or changing what really was. Are you saying clearly unethical or? Yeah, and also just depends what the use case for it is. Like I said, if you're trying to win an award of this photo you took on the beach and there's nobody there, except for one subject, unless you used a physical technique, like I said, where you can do a long exposure, or you create a composite where you took like 1,000 photos and then you're able to overlay all the images and find the pixels that didn't have a person at each time where it works until you have an empty beach. Things like that I feel more okay with, because you actually had to take all those thousands of photos, you had to stitch it together. It is like taking real pixels of a real moment and you're just applying it across multiple images. It's like slightly no different than if you do like an HDR image where it's combining like 3 or more exposures to create one single image. Things like that I think is like in the world of ethical. But then yeah, if you took one photo and from that one photo, there's a bunch of people and you decide to mask them away. And then again, if it's just for, I don't know, freaking Facebook or something, whatever, if it's your profile picture. But if you're trying to win an award, if you're trying to present yourself as having captured this moment and you're straight up lying, then it's like, okay, now you're even if you put this up for an award, actually, that's not even a bad thing. As long as you're saying this is what you did. Like, let's say if you're saying, hey, I took this photo of one person on the beach, and but you share that you did mask away the other people to create this type of an image, then fine, at least you're being honest. Like it's all about honesty, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, you meant unethical. Yeah, I got you on that one. We can almost say the same thing about ibis. What do you mean about that? I'm curious, what do you mean about ibis? All right, let's keep editing while we
or you're playing Where's Waldo. Eye contact would have been way better.
Also, I did not solve the freaking cat hair situation. It's like the tip of my nose is constantly itchy, and it's like this feeling like maybe there's maybe I have a dangling piece of hair, or it's like cat hair is swirling around me at all times. Oh, Anyways.
Like anytime someone's looking at you directly, I think that's a huge bonus. This is cool, black and white, color, like that looks great. It's kind of abstract. I can do something with this for sure. That's another one that I like. If they were all yellow cabs, I think that would be cool. I feel like I'm conflicted for what I'm looking at. Am I looking at the cab or am I looking at the smoke? Like, where do you want me? And because it's unclear and there's no clear story, I'm not a fan. I was obviously back focused. I focus back here, not on the horse. The color right out of there, like this doesn't need anything. Like that's just straight scan from the lab. Like that looks great. And this was the guy driving it. Look how sharp that is. 35 mil, look at that. That's insane. Yeah, this shot is awesome. That's
a really cool shot. Okay, so when I filmed this moment, it looks like when he stepped into the shot, into the light, I wasn't expecting that. And that part, unfortunately, looks like it is fully overexposed. So the question for me is like, I might not even show that part, or I just got to find an acceptable amount of light coming through. Let's see. Because I don't want to show their faces. I'm trying to make one like faceless so there's no like people in the shots, just moments. This is out of focus anyways, out of focus. So I think we're just going to pull from this part here. And I could always do we could do a bit of a keyframe, but let's see if I can just find a nice sweet spot of the lighting. Okay, I'm just gonna edit for these moments here before he jumps into the light.
might be one of the best shots I've seen actually like so far. The only thing I don't love is this, I think that's what they use to smack the horses. I don't love that. That could come out of the shot. Yeah, that'll rip. That's one of my favorites. It's one of my top 5, I think. This might actually be the best angle of all the shots I took of this, just because the car is in motion, the building looks great, the wide format is super unique. This is a pretty cool one. This is cool because portraits with an X-Pan are rad. Obviously, I'm going for that ray of light on his face, but we're losing so much detail.
Man, I really want to try out one of these anamorphic or whatever you call it, those like wide angle lenses. Because even looking at these shots, it looks so cool when you're in that super wide aspect ratio. And I'm not accustomed to that whatsoever. And we're obviously digitally creating that with my images right now. But it would be interesting to be able to shoot with that aspect ratio as like what you're actually seeing in real time.
In the car itself, but maybe this one's better. But I like the light on his face here better. I'll come back to it. Star them both. This is cool. I don't mind that. This is kind of cool. Rooftop swim session. These shots of Christian in the street are pretty cool. I think I like this one the best. That sky is kind of dramatic behind him. I like that. Bam. I was trying to shoot these people across the street that were waiting to cross. This dude turned around at the right time and looked at me and did not look pleased with what he saw. But I love that he's looking at me. It's that kind of eye contact that I was talking about earlier that I think looks great in photos, especially in street photos. So I could definitely add some sauce to this. This one I think is very cool. I really like this one.
I'm struggling with this one in terms of like, I think this image looks really clean. I like how this is starting to look over with this monk. And then the question just becomes in the background, do I want to keep the darkness in the red tones that it's in, so accentuate the redness everywhere, so then this whole image is essentially kind of like a very warm tone, or we're getting slight flavors of the cool tone mixed in, right? So you get a little bit of blue on the tapestries on the left and the right. So I kind of feel like this could be a good contender to mix in warm and cool, so kind of make it feel like a duotone. So this is making me feel, and just talking it out loud, I'm just convincing myself of this. I think I want to go with the Fujifilm look, where we go cooler with the image as opposed to warmer, so that we feel like there's a nice blend of coolness mixing in with the dominating like warmth of the orange yellow here. So okay, I've talked myself into it.
So I'll star that for sure. So these are my favorite shots from New York. Are they my favorite photos I've ever taken? No. I'm glad I took them. I struggled that day. I struggled very hard. I wanted to shoot 8+ rolls. I only did 3 and I fought to get those 3. I think sometimes you're feeling it, and even if you're feeling it, sometimes the streets just aren't giving it. But you're never gonna get them, and you're never gonna know if you're not out there trying to get them regardless. It's about getting in the reps, loading that camera, going back outside, taking those things that I've learned, and making myself better. And that is what I find so fascinating with this craft.
Okay, that was a great video, as always. Good job, Peter. Let's watch the next one and then let me think through this. I think this one I will just right away apply some film grain. Because if you look at the shot, you can see there's a bit of like that graininess noise in the background anyways. It is a still capture, but yeah. So I think just to lean into that, we might as well just accept that this one we're going to have a bit of a film look to it. So we'll apply the grain, halation, bloom, everything. And then I'll have to figure out later if I want to keyframe those parts so that it's not super overexposed here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn off the grain for now. Well, we can always put it on later. I always go back and forth with grain stuff. Cool, cool. Next shot. And the question is, how much can I just utilize the same color grade across everything so I can save time as well? I'll try.
First saw this commercial for Doritos featuring Formula One and Gordon Ramsay, I thought, my God, does this look expensive? Like, look at some of these transitions. So I featured it on our Instagram and people had questions. Well, luckily asking those happens to be my job. So today we're gonna break down exactly how Josh Cohen made some of these impossible shots possible. Let's go.
To drive! Stick to the cooking, mate. Turning up the heat. And that's how you make the perfect Doritos loaded! You right back there, Gordon?
Director Josh Cohen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Pleasure.
This one really blew up when we featured it on Instagram, and the people are inspired. Let's figure out why. I'm gonna be pulling some comments throughout the breakdown, like this one. Budget, when the budget is yes.
I can tell you now, the budget was not yes.
Yeah, I think people look at a thing like this and they go, oh, of course, they had all the money they wanted, but is that ever the case?
No, that's never the case. If the budget's 100K, you're trying to make something look $1 million. If the budget's $1 million, you're trying to make it look 10 million. So the ambition, I think the ambition always outweighs the budget level.
Yeah, I mean, do we ever have the resources that we really want?
No, we don't really, but we always find a way, right? That's filmmaking.
What were one of the things you wanted to do?
Oh yeah, actually, mindful. I guess this could be an example, at least on the video side, where, because you had mentioned about removing fog that wasn't there, et cetera, et cetera. So here, I might even do this, right? We'll see if I can make it work. But this is how I'm currently grading the footage. But then there's a moment, there's a feature called cinematic haze within DaVinci that I've been playing around with recently. And that kind of will do this like depth analysis of your footage and try its best to figure out where it could start fading in or like add a bit of that haziness to your shot, as if you turned on like a haze machine or there was like a fog or mist coming in. And like as I look at this briefly, I mean, it could use some work, but just like in its default mode, I can see a world where this might be interesting to apply to my shot here, because then it's like amplifying the smoke coming out of the whatever this like teacup thing is. And so then to me, I see nothing wrong with doing that. It's not even a question in my mind of like, hey, is this ethical or unethical? But it could also, like I said, it's just who am I presenting this to? This is for my YouTube channel, just for like whatever video. And it could also just be like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, it just depends on circumstance. But like for me, that turns into like, it's within the bounds of whatever's ethical. So, yo, we got Will in the chat. What up? Long time no see. How's it going, man? We're just doing some, well, I'm doing some video edits right now across like 5 different countries because I'm going to make a quick YouTube video maybe in the next few days about a specific lens that I shoot with. So I've been doing a lot of photo edits, but now I'm shifting over to do the video stuff. But how's it going, man? Long time. Oh, and then I'm watching this video as we talk. So.
Yeah, but couldn't because of budget reasons.
So the first thing that I kind of found out on this project is obviously that we were going to have Gordon Ramsay, who was going to be set in Toronto, that he was out there shooting, so we were going to have to go to him. We were going to have George Russell, and George Russell was going to be in London. But the story...
Yeah, actually, as I say that, I do think I'm going to turn on this cinematic haze. Because it is actually kind of creating a cool effect here. Let's see the before and after. But it is like a huge change to the actual quality of the image, right? Because like here you get a bit of sharpness, you see a lot more texture in the background, mid, foreground, whatever. And then once I turn that on, it's just like everything disappears. But it's fine because I want the eye, and I don't think I'm going to use more than a few seconds of this anyways, but I want the eye to be right on this, this little object here in the center anyways. So in some ways it actually works out because it blurs and flattens a lot of the stuff in the background. So. And then I might just change the color of it though. It's a bit too coolish there. Will says, by the way, GF just got a new camera, is going to try to do some filming for our travels. Would you recommend DaVinci as a good beginning editing software? Well, how much, when you say beginning level, and you're mixing two things, you're saying she's trying to do film stuff, or is she also trying to do photography stuff? And is this camera a film, like a cinema camera? Is it like a video camera, or is it for photos? But either way, if she's trying to do video stuff, DaVinci's good for sure. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily the easiest learning curve, but it also just depends how much knowledge she has up front. Because like if you have like the basic knowledge, I think then if I were to do DaVinci over again, but with the knowledge I have now, not about the editing software, but just around like the film techniques and like, you know, whatever else that comes with it, I think DaVinci would be much easier. I would say avoid Premiere Pro though, because man, that to me personally, that was like so hard to understand. It's like Photoshop to me. And then Final Cut, if she uses like Apple, if she's got like a MacBook and stuff, Final Cut's a bit more intuitive, and I don't think it's as powerful as DaVinci, but it at least gets the job done. And then like the easiest of all those answers and like the simplest is use CapCut. I'll just type it in the chat. So then CapCut, they have like the mobile app version, but then they built the desktop version as well. And that's like super intuitive because, you know, it's just like it's more modern day. It's not as powerful as any of the tools mentioned before, but it does have a huge user base. There's a lot of tutorials out there. It's free. You know, within the free version, you get most everything you need. But yeah, I don't know. I would say definitely between CapCut and DaVinci Resolve is the way to go. And then DaVinci is what I use. It's what a lot of professionals use when you want like the best colors. It seems like hands down, there's no argument amongst like most people. There's like a general consensus that like DaVinci is the best for like if you want to do very refined edits to your colors and retaining a lot more colors in your footage. Premiere Pro is still, I think, like the most popular to use. But that's like for the really, you know, high end, for like when you want to do like punchy edits and you want to do like visual effects and stuff like that, because then you can apply Premiere with After Effects. But yeah, I don't know. If she likes my videos, and she better, then, you know, just let her know it's all using DaVinci. So, and at some point, then she can purchase my LUTs when I create these presets and stuff. So yeah, selfishly, she should go down my footsteps. Do you know what camera what she's shooting with though? I'm curious to know.
Was a truck flying through a sunny city. And at the time in Toronto, I think it was like the most snow they'd ever had, and the snow just kind of never left. So we knew for sure, like, we weren't going to be able to get our exteriors there. So my first...
Willis, I should have known you had an angle there. Well, I don't have an angle there. See, this is proof. And also, I said it out loud, so maybe that's a strategy. But I don't have an angle because I don't have anything to sell with the video stuff. I should make one. I just haven't had time yet. But at some point, I do need to, like, create some custom... they call them LUTs, lookup tables, where it's kind of like you create certain filters of how your image can look in video format, and then you can sell that, and then people just apply it right away. Fuji X100 V1. Fuji X100 V1. Hold on, let's check this out. Fuji X100 V1. Oh man, she got one of the Fuji cameras always look so sick. You know, like the aesthetics of Fuji cameras are amazing. Let's check this out. It's a 40 megapixel. Okay, so she got this is a pretty powerful camera. Let's see. All right, I think I'll just go to the B&H website. Oh wait, no, we got a DP review. These guys tend to do a really good job. It's a 6th iteration of Fujifilm's classically styled large sensor compact. It's a 40 megapixel in-body stabilization, 6.2K resolution videos. Okay. Okay. And it looks nice. This is like the classic, like, nice looking vintage camera style. Okay. Overall score, 87%. It's a photographer's fixed lens camera. Oh, does it not have a... Okay, so you can't swap out lenses. So she's just committing to this? Am I reading that right? Hold on. It's a photographer's fixed lens camera that combines a stabilized 40MP. It's an APS-C sensor with a 35mm equivalent f2. Okay, yeah, so it makes perfect sense. You said she's trying to do more filming, because I think 35 equivalent... funny enough, Will, I'm making a video. It's releasing tonight in 30 minutes. So tell her to watch it, because it's about the 35mm focal length. So it looks like the lens that's attached to the Fujifilm shoots in that 35mm perspective. And I made a quick video, it's like 2 minutes, where it talks about, and you see some footage captured with the 35mm, and I explain my thoughts on why I think the 35 is actually the sweet spot for this kind of like storytelling mode. Okay, and it's shooting in f2 aperture, which is like pretty powerful. Okay, so it's got some decent stabilization, so you can do this handheld without too much problems. Okay, viewfinder. It's got machine learning trained subject recognition autofocus. Man, such buzzwords. 14 film simulations. Okay, so you can capture 6K 10-bit. That's pretty good. So 10-bit recording, I think people say, we were watching a video about this also, I think they were saying like when you go from an 8-bit video to a 10-bit video, the difference is way more visible to the naked eye versus when you go from 10-bit to 12 or 12 to 14, stuff like that. So to have a 10-bit, that's like a nice, decent location to be in terms of how much color and how much color you're getting in your captures. Cool. Yeah. Well, given this, she should definitely learn DaVinci, because it seems like she's got a pretty pricey camera. So I'm assuming she's spent the money because she wants to actually get the best results. So if that's the case, then DaVinci is like definitely the right answer for that. And if she has questions, she can reach out, whatever, because I've spent a long time trying to learn how to, I can even send, like, I think they might be outdated at this point, but the first few videos I learned or I watched to learn how to edit within DaVinci. Yeah. Anyways, I can help out wherever it makes sense. Tell her to watch my streams. Yeah, this is a good camera. All right, let's keep on editing this though.
Was Gordon in studio against volume, basically, but we couldn't afford it. Basically, I mean, you know, it's not that cheap. But the main thing we kind of reverted to instead of volume was a moving light on some track, which was our DP's idea, Miguel. So great idea, cool. And that came into play. Yeah, I mean, it was a great idea, and actually, the crew had to run pretty fast because obviously the truck is spinning, and therefore, you know, that light represents the sun as the truck is spinning around. And so the main shot really was on the pack, kind of the pack shot of the chips, yeah, and as we kind of, you know, as that truck is spinning out of control, that light is kind of moving across it. So that was kind of the cheap option, but it totally worked, you know.
Cameras rolling. Ready and action. Line.
Transitions. I think there's 2 shots in here that have insane transitions. And while we're on this studio shoot that you guys have, I just want to break down this shot because it's pretty amazing. It's pretty insane. I'm always fascinated by what's actually shot in camera and what the shot ends up and the difference in the delta in between. So just kind of talk to me about how you guys did this one.
Yeah, so we had 2 different trucks. We had a truck that we picked in Toronto, which we knew that Gordon was going to be in. And we picked that truck, you know, for all its lovely metallic textures inside the truck. So we didn't really care what the outside of the truck looked like when we shot Gordon in Toronto. Then we picked a different truck, which was kind of our hero vehicle, and that's what we shot in Madrid. And so we basically scanned that truck, the exterior of that truck. So we did like a 3D scan, basically just tracked straight through the front window. And then everything basically from the moment that you get through the door is obviously all real. Like that's all yeah, a little stand in there, just practicing. But yeah, basically everything on the interior is real, and then the world on the outside is CG. And there's different like components that make up the shot. So obviously we also did 3D scans of our talent. So we had had a scan of our driver. We had the scan of the truck. We also had a scan of Gordon. Wow. Yeah, there's a few. Ultimately, in short, like the exterior is CG and the interior is in camera.
Wow. Man, what a day here. You said this is in Madrid. You guys closed down these streets and had the techno on. That's crazy.
Yeah, the techno was quite...
Okay. I think I should start clipping some of these clipping the clips, I think. Because these files are going to get pretty heavy soon, especially as I start color grading them all. So what does that mean? That means I'm just going to start picking out the key moments that I do want to showcase here. So for example, even in this footage, I just want up until it gets too overexposed, which is like roughly around here. The rest of this we don't need. I'm not going to use any of that. And this will be, I mean, this is nice, but like I said, I'm trying to avoid any actual people shots. Like I think it's okay with some silhouettes, but I want to try to avoid them when possible. And like make it a bit more on the silhouette. So this is nice. So maybe crop to there. And then this looks nice. Yeah, somewhere around there. We'll cut it. Man, look at it. This is such a good lighting though. Oh, that was a fun trip. All right, let's cut that out. Let's go back. This is gonna take me forever. Jesus, I gotta work faster, I think.
Useful because we had to move pretty quick, had quite a big shot list, and obviously we could only lock down the streets, you know, for certain periods of time, and then we have to kind of let traffic through. So we just kind of moved around on the techno crane up and down that street at different spots, which was pretty useful for kind of getting all of our different shots.
So hang on a second, what's real in this shot? Anything at all?
As you see it now, no, nothing. Well, I think there's
so the actual truck. Sorry, the actual truck on the day is more of just like a reference.
No, so the truck. So in different shots in the film, the truck is real, totally real. It's only in this shot where we had to kind of use the 3D asset that was created. So basically, we moved around the truck, we photographed the truck, basically created a complete 3D model of the truck, which was useful in this shot specifically, where we kind of had to transition through it. Also, like we, took reference of the environment and stuff around. So it's kind of it's made up of photography, reference, scans, and then ultimately like it's CG. And then until we kind of get through that window, that's where we kind of launch into into this kind of live action.
That's wild. That's wild. So you guys had Gordon in that studio in London the whole time. That's
so
that's the only place he ever was in this whole piece.
Yeah, so he was in Toronto actually. Even though he lives in London, it was just completely random. Like he was shooting a show in Toronto, so we had to go there. I think if Toronto was a sunny city, we might have just shot everything there. But because it was like pouring with snow, we just had to go somewhere else sunny for the exteriors.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a challenge, right? The illusion of taking 3 different locations and making them look like one.
Exactly. Yeah. That was kind of part of the challenge. It was like, how do we create this cohesive film? That our protagonists, our heroes, are in 2 complete different cities. The story is like literally about a truck, driving through a sunny city. And neither of our talent are in a sunny city, so it's like, how do we go about this? So yeah, interiors were all shot in this the great food kitchen of this truck, and then George, we had 5 minutes on set with him.
That looks real good, man. I've already posted my video from India, but now I'm wondering, do I need to go back and find some more of these moments? Look at this shot. This looks great. Hold on, I need to let me grab a still image of that, just so I don't forget. Cause this looks fire, dude. I can't believe I made my video on India, and I don't know if I included this shot. Or no, I definitely included some key moments of this, but this particular frame here, I wonder if I missed it, or as I'm learning more about how I can also color grade, maybe we're getting better at it. Because now I'm just doing a bit of color. I didn't do anything special, but at least there's a few moments right here where you get the sun rays coming through the window, and you see how dusty the interior is, and with all of that texture in the sky or in the air, and the light reflecting off of the kid. This is gonna be a good one. All right, hold on. Let's keep working on this one a bit more.
London, and then the bulk of our kind of exteriors were shot in Madrid.
Gotcha.
In the sun.
Gotcha. How much time did you guys have with Gordon?
We actually had a whole day. So yeah, I've worked with Gordon a few times, and the thing I like about Gordon is he really wants to understand the project. It's like, I think, I've worked with lots of athletes and all kind of celebrity talent. Some just rock up on set, do whatever you tell them and go. But Gordon, he likes to understand the story. He likes clear direction as well. I think, he always says tell me it as it needs to be. And yeah, it's actually great working with him. He's a lot of energy and he's a really fun guy to be around. And yeah, luckily we had him all day. There was lots to capture, and I think they also had to capture socials and photography. So he was kind of bouncing around these 3 sets, and we had it all worked up by an amazing AD who kind of scheduled the day in a way that when he was gone to stills, we would reset up, change camera, change lighting, be ready for him by the time he comes back. So yeah, that all worked really well, actually.
That's so sick.
Ready? Action.
Let's go! One more. 3, 2, 1, line. Let's fucking go! Oh, amazing.
I love this shot. Really high-tech way to shake the camera there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why do camera shake in post when you can do it in camera? And that, do you know what? It really sells it, I think. And actually, some of the like cheapest effects are the best. We had like grips just shaking the truck, you know, leaf blowers with wind, shaking the camera. All of that stuff, I think, sells in the idea that he's really there. And I think when you watch the film, you know, you wouldn't necessarily guess that like we shot him, you know, in a static truck in a studio. So yeah, it all came to life.
Yeah, it's incredibly cohesive, all of it. And that's awesome. How much time? So you had a whole day inside this studio in Toronto.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly, yeah. And then, so in comparison to that, we had about 5 minutes on set with George Russell, the Formula One driver. So we had basically a guy that was a professional driver who played George in Madrid. So like, we had all the gear, we had the helmet and all that stuff. But shooting George was quite funny because we had to kind of jump into somebody else's set. I think he was shooting a bunch of other stuff with PepsiCo. And it was quite funny, actually, because I think, you know, you're so used to being on your own set where everyone is pulling together for you and your vision to suddenly kind of rock up to someone else's set and be like, hey guys, we're the other crew, you know? They're like, who are these guys?
What? This is someone else's set?
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, I mean, they knew we were coming and they like, you know, they set up a green screen and, you know, we had a quick call with the DOP just to make sure we had the lights and stuff. But like, you know, very literally, we had like 5 minutes with him. So it was a couple of like, you know, recording a few lines and then basically just a few takes of the shot. And that was really it. But everything else you see of him in the helmet is this stunt driver who did a great job.
Okay, yeah, you don't need him for this.
No, exactly. Actually, funny story about the helmet.
Yeah.
Because in the pre-production process, obviously one of the kind of tricky parts of this is there were multiple clients because you had Doritos, you had Formula One, you had Mercedes, you had Gordon and his team. And obviously I think, you know, communication's a big part in the lead up just to make sure that everyone is understanding what the vision is, what's required, what's needed. And obviously like there was a need for...
Okay. So this clip for sure is going to be used. I'm super excited for how the final product. Actually, I like it so much. I just want to slow it down already and see how it looks. So this was shot at 60 frames, and we're putting this into a 24 frames timeline. So we can slow this down by 40%. Is that right? Putting a 60 into a 24. It's been a while since I've done this, so Jesus. Yeah, this should be right. So how does that look on the full screen? Looks good. I think it's here, hold on. Let's do it this way. I'll just put on repeat. 24 frames, slow it down. Love it. We got some, that's a cinema. This is cinema. Because I say cinema because like I didn't know what I was doing, right? I lucked out by being in a location with some really interesting subjects, right? So I don't have to do anything. The subjects look already really cool because they're wearing these very distinct, robes. And how do you beat this type of lighting, right? You get the haziness coming through. You get I call it komarebi, or that's a Japanese word for the like scatter light effect that's coming through here. So that's like everything that you want when you want to light up and like, how do you get your, now it is very bright light here. So in a sense, but I'm leaning into it. So I'm actually very happy with making this pure, like, overexposure. So yeah, I think I'm going to lean into that because then it just makes this, everything, the focus is on the kid here anyways. So, all right, cool. Now there's another moment here I want to work on, which is the pouring of the tea. So this one I just got to reset whatever I did to the exposure. Where did I change it? Yeah, we dropped it by like 1.5 stops. So we'll bring that back, and then I'll have to see whatever else to correct to bring this back. So it's some of the stuff I did in Dehancer. I'll turn off the vignette. Yeah, so I'm gonna work backwards on this one, but yeah.
Or his helmet, because, you know, we know that we can't have George in Toronto. We know that we're not going to have George in Madrid. And so at one point I was on this call and the suggestion was that they were going to send George Russell's actual Formula One helmet to my producer's flat in South London. And it's like, wait, what? And you know, it's like, if you drop this helmet once, if you scratch it, it's like it needs replacing. This helmet's worth like hundreds of thousands of pounds, I'm sure. And they were going to send it to his flat to board a low-cost airline flight where, like, you know, any time you try and take on hand luggage, it's like they're just going to take that straight off you and drop kick it into the hold probably. So just the thought of that was filling us with anxiety. But yeah, luckily they had a replica, which is the one you see here.
Oh, okay, cool. So this is just a replica.
Yeah. So, but there was, I think the reason was the replica was somewhere else, and they needed to get it back, and they weren't sure whether they were going to get it back in time, and so it was like, oh, could we use his actual helmet? And this is like his helmet for the whole Formula One season, and so yeah, luckily we didn't have to use his actual one. We had the replica.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane, dude.
Oh, of course, my producer put it straight on when it arrives.
Oh yeah, of course. Are you an F1 fan?
I am. I would say I'm not a diehard, but yeah, I do like it. I kind of follow it loosely. Know the kind of drivers and the storylines. Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm in New York City this weekend. This place is crazy. I already lost my ID. Anyway, thank you for watching this. It's a lot of work and a ton of fun.
Oh man, he's in New York City, as if I know. But it's like you're in a big major city in the U.S. and you leave your camera. I'm assuming it was unattended up on a tree or somewhere super high. That's risky, man. If I'm not in Dubai or Singapore, I don't think I would ever trust putting my camera that far away. Yeah, GG's.
Shout out my buddy Edward, who helps us edit this show. I don't know if you know this, but Frameset is not just a place where we feature the most inspiring film work being done right now, but it's also a site that you can go to find the most cinematic reference images that'll help you pitch the project of your dreams. You can also build your treatment directly within the site, which is new and cool. Check it out. I love you. Bye.
What kind of extra work goes into getting these product shots? Like, are you guys using different specific lighting techniques? Is there a team of people from Doritos like dressing everything? What's it look like?
There is a legend, a Doritos legend called Steve, who flies around making sure you've got the perfect Doritos, and he's got like hacksaws and little tools and shaves off the edges and makes sure like it's the perfect triangle. Yeah, man, he's a bit of a legend, this guy. Great guy. Wow. So we had him. He's definitely part of it, and he picks out all the perfect chips. And then we've got like food styling team, you know, like just putting everything together, making sure it all looks great. And that gets signed off by Gordon and Gordon's team. And yeah, Gordon actually created the recipe for this loaded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things is we didn't know 100% what the recipe was going to be. So as we were like storyboarding and crafting shots and talking about shots, like the recipe was sort of running in parallel to that. So we didn't know 100% like what was going to be flying through the air, you know, what the meat was going to, you know, whether it was going to be chicken, whether it was going to be steak or whatever. So we were kind of running parallel to that.
Same thing, I just want to slow this part out, 40%. Let me just put the stabilization on and then see how it looks. So there's a slight, very, very slight flicker effect. There's a bit of a flicker you can see in that slow motion. There is a thing to get rid of it, so we'll play with that later. But for now, this is looking good. We got 2 clean captures here.
And I boarded this shot about the jalapenos like flying through the air. Yeah. And then the recipe arrives, and actually the thing was like diced carrots. And I was like, I'm not sure that's going to have like the same kind of feel to it, you know? Like, part of my job is to like drive taste cues. And there's something like quite satisfying about like jalapenos, like kind of flying, kind of feel the spice, whereas like diced carrots, I'm not sure you're quite getting that. So luckily I had a little bit of creative license to bring the jalapenos back, which was good. And I guess the rationale there was like...
Wait, that's interesting. Gordon Ramsay wanted carrots in this thing?
Yeah, well, it was like pickled carrots and cilantro, and you know, it was like, it wasn't just like it was quite, it actually sounded quite good. It was like a salsa, and there was all sorts going on. Like it looked delicious, to be fair. But I guess, for the sake of our movie making, we wanted to lean into the kind of explosion of spice, because I guess my rationale was we can order Gordon's, you know, recipe, but then maybe we just, you know, chuck a few jalapenos on top. And so, yeah, we shot that in camera. So the first shot is in camera, all totally in camera, and Miguel, our DP, had to wear a helmet because, I'm not joking, it was like such a small space, and like take after take, it was like getting crazy. Like our eyes were like watering, you know, like people were sneezing. The special effects guy had like, you know, floods of tears like rolling down their face because like it was powerful. Like this explosion, like back-to-back explosions of like pure cut jalapenos. It was like actually quite intense.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. My eyes would have freaking hated that. So you've got your...
I like this guy's video. I think we saw 1 or 2 of this guy's videos already, frame set. What I will say, though, it is a bit... I feel like maybe the editor should be cutting out some of the dead air. You know, it could just be like a style. They want to just like, kind of show how real or raw the moments are. But I feel like a punchier edit, so you kind of cut out some of those, like the dead air, the awkward pauses when they're talking, because then it does feel like I feel like there's just enough of that pause that it starts to feel awkward. You know what I mean? So that I think that could use a bit of cutting, in my humble opinion. But
special effects guy here pulling a string, and our DP here just bracing for impact.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like a mixture of like some kind of explosive, then there was strings to like pull over the other tubs, because the idea was like, it was like, you know, hitting a sharp kind of corner and everything kind of coming off the edge. So it was like the tubs in the background and the pots in the background, they're being pulled, and then the explosion's actually happening from inside of that one pot of jalapenos, and we shot kind of super slow motion. And
what about this shot with Gordon in the background?
Then what we didn't want to do is start, you know, popping off explosive jalapeno pots in front of Gordon, especially when we're kind of limited on time with him. So we decided actually the best route here would be CG. So these are CG jalapenos, and we just shot the one plate of Gordon. And so they're kind of modeled and referenced on the shot that comes prior.
Now, the shot of Gordon, did you guys shoot it out of focus like this?
I believe we did, yeah. So I think in the past, I've been in situations where we've shot something sharp and said, you know, okay, we can kind of put it out of focus in post. But for me, there's something that always feels quite digital about that. And so I think actually knowing that this was all about taste cues and the food, and just Gordon's reaction, kind of, it's almost funnier that he's kind of out of focus and not the main event here, just watching them fly by. So yeah, I think we did in the end commit to shooting it shallow. I think we might have got one sharp just in case, but I think this one specifically is shallow.
Yeah, cheers to committing to that. You know, you've got the face of Gordon Ramsay front and center, and you're going to make it blurry for this shot. I mean, that's called intentionality right there.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the digital thing, just to touch on that, like,
yeah,
I think because there was a lot of CG, and, you know, like we spoke a bit about the first shot, which is like all CG as we kind of come into the truck, and there were some other shots that were kind of designed to be entirely CG. I was worried that, like, you were gonna feel this disjointed kind of nature between, you know, the live action visuals of the truck and then cutting to CG and then cutting back to something in studio. I just wanted to make sure that what we had in a final film just felt cohesive and felt real and tangible, and, you know, I think in the end, what we decided to do is print to film. So just to knock out some of the digital feel of some of this stuff. Yeah. So we kind of printed to, I think we printed to 16mm, 50D, like everything. The final film, like we graded.
Oh, okay. So you're projecting it back and capturing that 16 millimeter organic feel to kind of soften the fact that a lot of this, especially the exteriors, are completely CG.
Exactly. So this shot in particular, like, this is all in camera, and the guy in the truck is actually a professional Gordon impersonator.
I bet he works a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So we were like, you know what, because we knew we were going to come to Madrid and we knew we were going to come and shoot exteriors for real with the truck and everything. Yeah. And we wanted that to feel as real as possible.
I think that was a nice moment at the end of this loop, because there's a bit of like a parallax effect, I think, that stands out here. Because I remember this moment in India. We were in a small town visiting just to see one of these like Buddhist temples, monasteries. I don't know what we call it. But yeah, this like little street dog hopped up on the roof of a building in the alleyway that I was walking through. So I was just pointing straight up at the dog. And thankfully behind the dog, you had a bit of cloudy texture and there was no sun directly. So that's why you're able to see the blue sky and it's not like overexposed. So yeah, it was like a decent location if I had to point it straight up at the sky. And then I remember just kind of moving from left to right to see if I can get some motion in there. And I think there's a few seconds towards the end where, as you see the cloud shifting, you know, behind the dog as we're moving in a certain direction, it looks okay. So let me see. Because the thought is, I'm just trying to make a short video, nothing too crazy. So in there, I want to show some of the best footage I have that I capture with the 135. So I think this moment here, as you see the cloud motion and I'm moving to the right around here, I think, yeah. So I think I can use some of that. So then, yeah, I just need just several clips. You know, maybe some of these clips are not going to be even shown for more than a second, but just to kind of show like, hey, I shot all of this with the 135 and it took me across all these different countries. It let me capture all these different types of moments, whether it's wildlife, you know, street life, culture moments, anything in between, and both in video format as well as photo format. So like to be able to showcase both of those angles, I think is important. So, okay guys, one thing I just realized, time has been flying. It is already almost 10 p.m. I mentioned I've posted a video, or I have a video scheduled to post in like 5 minutes. So I should probably end the stream now so that I can just, because I need to make a YouTube post and the usual stuff. I just got to figure out who do I promote it to, things like that. So time flew. Thank you guys for hopping into the stream today. Appreciate you guys who jumped in the beginning. You know, thanks again, Elle. I got to do a bit of a photo reviewing session thanks to your photos. So thanks for that. My cats also say thank you. Look at them chilling over there. Look at this guy doing his thing. Mindful says, have a great evening, man. Good luck. Thank you. I'll be back tomorrow for, you know, I should stream roughly around 7 p.m. my time. It will go a bit longer to make up for it. But guys, check it out. It's coming out in like 5 minutes or something like that. on my YouTube channel. I'll post it on Discord and wherever else, but hope you guys enjoy. It's just a 2-minute video about the 35mm lens. And then, yeah, you're seeing me work now on the next video, which will be the 135. And there's some good ass content there to punch into a short video. So, all right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy.